Hello, language and literature lovers. Brad Philpott here from Philpott Education. And today I'd like to talk to you about paper one, and more specifically, what are you going to do during the first 5 to 10 minutes of your paper one exam session when you are reading these stimulus texts and you are trying to answer a guiding question and you are trying to come up with an outline or a structure for your ideas. I have a little hack that I want to show you in just a minute. However, let's take a step back and talk about guided textual analysis. As you know, there will be a guiding question on the exam, and I'd encourage you to think of every question as a different version of this question. How is language used to construct meaning, right? It's your goal to identify how meaning is constructed in this stimulus text. So in order to do that, I recommend looking at the stimulus texts through 4 different lenses. The first lens being purpose. Why do writers write? What is their intent? What's the authorial intent? The second lens is style. How do writers write? What kind of choices have they made in order to construct that message? The third lens is audience. How do readers respond? How do readers read? What are the effects of the language on the reader? The fourth lens could be considered context. Now, you might not know a lot about when and where the text or the texts were written, but it's your job to make some inferences and some educated guesses during this exam session. So again, I call this the CAMPS method, C-A-M-P-S, context, audience, meaning, purpose, style. This is, again, a method for digesting or reading text, but it's not a method for constructing your analysis of a text. So how should you do that? What I recommend you do in the first 5 to 10 minutes is create 2 lists, 2 columns, one for style, one for purpose, and you simply start listing all of the things you notice under style and purpose. Let's grab an example here. Imagine we're working with this stimulus text from the National Health Service, the NHS in the UK, which aims to recruit nurses. And you might come up with 2 lists that look a little bit like this. And I realize this is not an outline. It's a lot of brainstorming. And these lists may seem a little bit haphazard or crazy. But once you start listing ideas like this, you can start clustering them and connecting them. But before we do that, I want to take another step back and talk about purpose a little bit more specifically, because I do see a lot of students writing in superficial terms about the purpose or intent of a text. It helps to think about the purpose of a text like a pyramid, and at the bottom, entry-level analysis. I suppose every text aims to connect to the reader. By every text, every paper one stimulus text, that might be a speech, an article, an ad, an infographic. A lot of texts do try to, it's an author's attempt to make a connection to the reader. And so writing about how the text captures the reader's imagination is entry-level writing about purpose. It's important though. It's at the bottom of this pyramid. Moving up a step on this pyramid, I think a lot of stimulus texts identify a problem at their core. This NHS ad is essentially identifying a problem that there are too few nurses in the UK and that the profession is perhaps underappreciated or undervalued by society. At the top of this pyramid of purpose, a lot of texts offer a solution to a problem of sorts. So in the case of the NHS ad, we need to recruit more nurses. And you too could be a nurse for the NHS. So how does this relate back to our lists of style and purpose? Let's go back to these lists and let's grab a colored pen and start identifying how the text is connecting to the reader, right? Making the reader care. And this here, using this color, this could become potentially a first body paragraph. And if we were to grab a different color and start to identify some of the stylistic features that are used to identify a problem, that nurses are underappreciated, that there are children out there who need the help of a nurse, this could become a second body paragraph. And finally, there is the issue of recruitment as a solution to this problem. And that could be a third and final body paragraph which focuses on the use of imperative verbs and headings in order to do that specifically. So this messy two-column note-taking method is not an outline yet, but if you look carefully, you can start to see that we've created 3 topic sentences, essentially, one each for a body paragraph. And from these topic sentences, we could begin to construct a thesis statement, which might look like this. Through the use of various features in this ad, including an image, repetition, juxtaposition, and imperative language, the NHS aims to bolster the image of nurses in the UK and recruit readers to become nurses. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the effective language on the reader? This kind of fast and furious way of writing notes doesn't take that into account, but you should as you begin to write up these body paragraphs about how language is used to construct meaning and the effects of that language on the reader. You might want to practice with 3-column notes, style, purpose, audience. But I personally prefer the 2-column with just style and purpose because it is a little faster. Look, if you would like to see that NHS ad and study it in more detail, and you would like to see some student responses to this NHS ad and answers to that guiding question, feel free to check out the materials on our support site at philpott.education. You can subscribe to the website. You can like this video. We look forward to seeing you in the Langlet world. Good luck on those exams. Best of luck.